Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Vicki-Lynne and this is Cooking Vegan with Vicki. Today we're going to make an Adzuki bean casserole. So Adzuki beans are the unsung heroes. They're almost like little black beans, but they have a different nutritional value. They're super easy to cook, so I've soaked mine overnight and I just cook them in my Instant Pot for 11 minutes and just let them drain, and they're good to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with some onions. I'm going to put them in here. Now in my pot, I have 1 teaspoon of olive oil and some water. So we're going to water saute. And this is a little bit healthier than having a bunch of oil all the time. I'm going to do 2 cloves of garlic. Now my cloves are a little bit bigger. You do whatever you prefer. I like it lots of garlic. So we're just going to dice this up. Okay. Some of the other ingredients in this recipe today are some butternut squash, some carrots, celery, our Adzuki bean, and then it's covered with slices of sweet potato. So it actually is very tasty. It's great. It lasts all week. You can freeze it. It freezes very well. So you make 1 casserole and eat it for a day or 2, and then you just freeze the rest, and you have extra food whenever you need it. High in protein, and actually very low in calories because we're using some really good vegetables. So here we are just sauteing. And we're just going to get that going for a couple of minutes. Simmer that. Okay, so now the onions and the garlic have been sauteing for a couple of minutes, and we're going to add some carrots. Now, I actually had shredded carrots left in the fridge, so I'm just going to use that. But you would just take 1 large carrot and you're going to dice that. I have a couple of ribs of celery, and it all depends on if you're a big celery person, little celery person, whatever you prefer. The measurements do not have to be exact. So we started with a medium onion and 2 cloves of garlic, 1 large carrot diced, and a couple of ribs of celery, just depending on how much celery you want, and we've diced that also. So I'm just using the saute function on my Instant Pot. And actually I would normally make this in a pot on the stove. It's just easier for filming so that you can see what's going on in the pot and you can see the ingredients. And then I'm also going to put in 1 cup of diced butternut squash. And then we're going to let this all saute. And again, we're just going to water saute. So when it heats up a little bit, you need a little extra water, just add a little water. And then we're going to let this cook down for about 5 minutes. So now that's been sauteing for 5 minutes or so. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add in 2 cups of hot water. And I've added better than bouillon to this. You can use the bouillon cubes. So you can get vegan ones. You can get the no beef bouillon cubes, the chicken ones. I actually like the jar of bouillon better than bouillon, the vegetable one, just because it stays in the fridge, it stays good for a really long time, and it has a great flavor. So I'm going to add the liquid in here. And then we're going to add all of our Adzuki beans. Up again. I'm going to add some parsley. I'm going to add it towards the end. So I'm going to let this come back up to a boil, and then we're going to add in our thickening agent, which in this case is 2 teaspoons of arrowroot, or you could use cornstarch, and I have 1 tablespoon of water. So once this comes up to a boil, And I am going to add about a teaspoon and a half of thyme. Always rub your dry spices in between your hand or your fingers because it helps release the oils that are in there. Now, if you're cooking and you're cutting up onions, scraping your carrots, your potatoes, anything like that, what I do is I take all the scraps, I actually put them in a bag, a silicone bag, and I put them in the freezer. And then when my bag fills up, same thing with like celery, when you're cutting the tops off and the bottoms off and your carrots and everything, I just throw everything into a bag, throw it in the freezer, and then when I'm ready to make vegetable stock, I actually just throw everything into the Instant Pot, frozen. I add my water, a couple of bay leaves, a few spices, and just set that to go. And instantly you have your own healthy, and you're saving on wastage because you're not just throwing that in the garbage, you're actually getting another use out of it. So a great savings. And you have really good vegetable stock. Okay, so that looks like it's coming up. So I'm gonna add my slurry here, and that's just a word for your thickener. The other thing I sometimes do is I just take some liquid just to make sure I get all the thickener out of my dish. And then we're just going to let this thicken up a little bit, and then we're going to put it in our casserole dish. So now you do need to have your oven preheated to 400 degrees, which mine is. And I'm just going to continue to let this thicken. Let that cook for a minute. And this is also good for leftovers that you have. You can mix up the vegetables if you want. You don't have to do exactly what I have. I mean, I'm using sweet potatoes on the top. I find that better than just regular potatoes. They kind of complement each other with the butternut squash that's in there. And there we go. So now it's coming up to the boil. And I actually like it with the shredded carrots. Just because it kind of gives it a cool look. So I'm just going to grab my casserole dish. So just a standard casserole dish. And you can do this individually if you'd rather. So I'm going to turn this off now. Give it one more stir. Make sure that slurry is thickening up all of it. All right. And then we're just going to dump this right into our casserole dish. There we go. Thin it out. And now what we're going to do, now what we're going to do is we are going to add our slices of sweet potato. So I'm going to do mine kind of like a half moon all the way around, and I will show you when we are done before it goes in the oven. So you do want them to be quite thin. You can have them thicker, but just your cooking time will be a little bit longer. Not a big deal. This isn't anything to sweat over. You do whatever, however you like it. And a lot of the times will put 2 rows of sweet potatoes just because I love sweet potatoes and they are delicious. They are healthy. They are a good carb. And it kind of makes you feel like you're having a treat, even though they're healthy. Okay. Let me just finish this up and do my second row, and I'm just gonna kind of fill in wherever there was any little gaps. And you're always gonna have gaps anyway, because it depends on how you cut your sweet potatoes. And the shape of your dish. So I have lots of sweet potatoes here, so I am just going to keep layering. This is one of my favorite recipes, and it wasn't until I just started looking for recipes to do here on this channel that I remembered. Oh my goodness, I haven't had this in such a long time. So. We are all done. I'm just gonna slide it over here so we can get a good picture of it. There we go. And then that's gonna go in a 400-degree oven for approximately 30 to 40 minutes. You will need just to check, You will need to check just to make sure that the sweet potatoes are done. Everything else is cooked. We just want the sweet potatoes to cook. And then once the sweet potatoes are done, you're ready to go. I'm gonna actually add a little bit of parsley on the top because I actually forgot to put that in. And see, cooking doesn't need to be perfect. Sometimes we just don't always get it the way we want it. You could have added it to the hot mixture before you poured it into the container, into our casserole dish, but that's fine. You can actually put some on when you serve it, whatever you want.